Alrighty, hello, hello, hello. My name is behavioral scientist Tanola Oliver, and welcome to part two of a social analytical perspective. And so, last episode we were examining the social analytical perspective of intimate relationships. We're doing a comparative analysis between the power universe and raising Kanan, right? So I'm still in my makeshift studio, as you can see. I have not totally put together where I'm reorganizing where I typically do my videos at, but no problem, right? We're flexible. And today I want to continue to unpack information on the comparative analysis and the contrast between the power universe and the raising Kanan universe as we talk about intimate relationships. So I don't know how to make the lighting stop doing that, but that's okay. So the primary focus is because we're talking about intimacy, right? So one of the things that the foundation is most known for is socioeconomic development strategies and projects, right? And so the purpose is, how do we bridge and repair relationships, right? Because it is in the relationships that dynamic between how we feel about one another within individual families, households, neighborhoods, communities. It is what rolls out and plays out in the marketplace, right? You can very easily hear a conversation about somebody at a family get together, and it can make a decision for you on whether or not you want to support that person's small business or whatever endeavor that they're involved in. So absolutely, we need to start having difficult conversations about repairing relationships within family units, within the inner city relationships, so that we can build economic fortitude within inner city developments. That starts at the relationship level, right? If a city has the ability to be able to trust contractors from within the city limits and trust their ability, their expertise, and their competency, then there's no need, right, to open up bids and look for external contractors and developers and talent beyond the city, right? Not to say, right, definitely it takes a combination, right, of local talent as well as bringing in a fresh pair of eyes. That's the work that I do best, right? As a practitioner and a subject matter expert, that's where I come into play. And I always handle every municipality and every city that I've ever worked with the utmost discretion and integrity, right? In dealing with them. So typically, if I've had a conversation about something, it was 20 or 30 years ago, right? And even at that point, I typically don't have a conversation unless it's been something that has been said that has been impacted negatively towards my brand. And then I have to, at this point, begin to change the narrative about some of the things that were said that were not true. And so let's go ahead and begin to unpack the subject matter, right? So we visited the universe for raising Kanan. We began to unpack some of the personifications and characterizations of various characters within that universe. Today, I want to start with Tasha, just like I started with Rack. On the last unpacking, Tasha is actually the matriarch, right, in this particular universe as well. Now, the difference between Tasha and Rack is that Tasha's mother is very much a part of her life. She has that support there from her mother, right? So we don't have the same mother-daughter dynamic that we have in the Raising Kanan universe, which I'm going to broach that topic a little bit later, um, particularly when I look at Raina. Raina is the young lady in the Power universe who ended up being shot due to some things that was going on with her brother. And so Tasha is the matriarch. She's the problem solver, just like Rack, right? One of the things that African American women are known for, and that's solving problems, right? Their leadership abilities are nurtured oftentimes if it's a healthy environment from the very beginning, not necessarily because they've been nurtured into that, but potentially because their leadership roles had to rise to the top for various different reasons. And I'm going to broach that topic a little bit more as we begin to move on. And I'm going to try to stay focused because the Power universe had a lot of different dynamics. It's really somewhat difficult to really unpack the Power universe and compare it to another universe when we're specifically talking about intimate relationships. There's a difference if we're talking about constructs, right? But we're specifically pointing out various relationships, and there was so much complexity, like in real life, to the various relationships in the Power universe, that I almost wrote an entire book just talking about the Power universe. I said, there is no way I'm going to be able to read all of this today. But definitely this is only a 3-part series. And so what I don't have the ability to unpack, you feel free to touch base with me if you like to know more about the social constructs and dynamics from the perspective of a behavioral scientist, okay? The next individual is St. Patrick, which is the father. He is very much evident in his family. He is not a missing male figure, right? That narrative is not in the story, right? He is fully vested in rebranding himself because he is now at a point in his life where, and some people may refer to it as a midlife crisis, but I wouldn't ascribe it to that. But he is definitely at a point in his life in maturity that he is trying to rebrand himself so that he can move from where he is to where he ought to be. Now, while I understand that the story of Raising Kanan is supposed to be about Curtis and his mother, I think it is probably the least about his life than St. I can see the characterization in St. Patrick and Curtis more so than I can in Raising Kanan, because the thing is, when we write stories about ourselves, and particularly when we want to tell a story about ourselves, there's so many people that we have to protect. For example, it was obvious that he wanted to protect the personification of his grandmother. So in the Raising Kanan narrative, she just wasn't present, and we know that's not true in real life, right? So that's how we know that Raising Kanan is not an actual depiction of his real life. More so than anything, what the personification is ascribed to is how Kanan is reared and raised to be the next generation of this I don't want to say mafia family, because I know we got the black mafia family, which is a different universe, but that's somewhat what it is a black mafia family. Some people wanted to know why I haven't done one on the black mafia family yet. I'm still working on it. There's a lot of different dynamics there. It definitely didn't fit in this contrast and comparison. It has too many moving parts to it. In addition to, we know that that is a depiction of a real story, a real city, real people, And it's a very much actual depiction, person for character, right? So like with Raising Kanan, that's not a person for character depiction. It is a very it is an embellished narratization of the truth, right? But it has some bits and pieces, right? BMF is very much supposed to be a person to character personification. And I think that takes a certain delicacy to be able to unpack that and to do it in a way that is respectful to the people who have some personal association and feelings and affiliation with it. And so I'm working on it. I just haven't been able to unpack it in its totality, particularly when you start talking about people's parents, right? um, and so there is a certain due and amount of respect that you have to, when you decide that you want to provide some type of critique, that you have to do that in a way that you exercise compassion, right? I didn't feel that weight with the Kanan, Raising Kanan, because I knew it was a total embellishment, right? Um, because of the age differences, we knew the age that Curtis's mom passed away. We knew he had an amazing relationship with his grandmother, and so we know that is not a person for character personification. A lot of people also wanted to know why I didn't talk about the couple, and I cannot think of their names. Um, but it is the couple that Ronnie takes Kanan to when he decides that he's going to go into business with them or become a part of their mafia family, so to speak, right? I didn't talk about them because I don't see them as a power couple, right? I know a lot of people are like referring to them as a power couple. As a behavioral scientist, I feel a sense of responsibility not to refer them as a power couple because they're toxic, right? And if I get an opportunity to unpack all of the information that I have written out today, there is some very blurred lines where they cross the line with Tariq that should have never been crossed, where they cross the line with Rack that should have never been crossed. Like, there is some honor among thieves. There are things that certain people just don't do, right? And crossing the line with Tariq, and he was a minor, and it wasn't like his mother didn't have access to that world, right? That would be another thing if his mother didn't have access to that world, but she did. And so there is just some line of demarcations that shouldn't be crossed. I didn't feel like unpacking that. I don't see them as a power couple because you can't destroy and be seen as a power couple. Like you can't be that toxic, right? In society and in the community and still and tearing down people's families and be seen as a power couple. So I didn't even want to broach that. I like their role in the movie, right? In the television depiction, but we're talking about real life narratives, and I don't want to ascribe any type of personification or characterization to them being a power couple while I see the evidence of them crossing lines that should have never been crossed for them as a couple within the community, right? That had direct access to Tariq's mom and some other components that I didn't agree with. But I love them in the sitcom. I think they're both amazing actors and actresses. They're a real couple in real life. I think that's amazing that they have the opportunity to work together in the Raising Kanan universe. All right, so let's move back to St. Patrick. So it is obvious that St. Patrick is trying to rebrand himself so that he can, I think the original purpose was so that he wanted to be able to transition his family from a dangerous lifestyle into a lifestyle where his children could